Found a job for $100,000 a month. Her job is to take care of the ceramic dolls on the chairs. He may look cold, but he moves on his own, and shed tears, in the grim old castle. What secret does the attic that can't be opened seem to hold? Lucy thought she had found a well-paying job, but a terrible nightmare is about to begin. Today is Lucy's first day at work. Can hire a nanny for $100,000 a month? The owner was obviously a rich man. The luxurious castle in front of Lucy was full of envy. This place looks like it's full of stories. The master is out for the time being. Lucy went in alone first. In order not to stain the expensive carpet, she took off her shoes and left them at the door. As she looked around curiously, a man suddenly appeared behind him. Lucy, playing with all sorts of weird toys, is scared. Lucy unconsciously thought he was the master's son. Is she trying to force a horror movie into a romance? The man called himself Mike. He makes a regular weekly delivery of supplies. While restocking the house, he introduced the owner. When Lucy asked about the master's child, what does Mike seem to have a problem with? At this moment, the owner of the old castle is back. Lucy tried to put on her shoes but found them missing at the door, said the hostess calmly. Maybe their son is hiding. Then the old couple took Lucy to their son. What surprised Lucy was their children. It's the ceramic man on the couch. Lucy thought it was a form of humor, but the host had a serious face. The whole scene was awkward for a while. Fortunately, Mike came to break the uncomfortable atmosphere. She moved closer to the doll. Say hello like a normal person, as long as you're not embarrassed. It's other people who are embarrassed. Lucy was completely dumbfounded. It's not normal to see the only person in the house. To get the job, Lucy had to follow Mike's example. Greet the doll with a serious handshake. The old couple claimed that the child was satisfied with her. Introduce the work item. They treat the doll like a child. Early the next morning, the hostess was hysterical over the toys. Lucy, who witnessed the scene, found it very strange. The host gave Lucy a schedule and rules. The host said they were going away on holiday. When he left, their eyes are full of the doll's son to give up. After Lucy looked on doubtfully, the couple left in a hurry. Now it's just Lucy and this creepy doll. Lucy's not going to do it anymore. She dropped the doll on the chair, then cover it with a blanket. After all, they look weird. Lucy now seemed to own the castle. She drank the wine and read the book, and slept until it was dark. She woke up to find the blanket on the doll fell to the ground. The moon's light on the doll's face is particularly spooky. It's a weird feeling. She threw the doll into the room. The rules and regulations her master had given her had long forgotten. She was awakened by the sound of a thunderstorm outside her window. What sounds did she hear? She lived alone in the castle. She only dared to look. Usually at times like this, the directing team is bound to save electricity. Lucy carried the candle through the dark passage. She stopped in front of the painting of her host's family. Suddenly a child's arm appeared in the painting, put her in a stranglehold. Fortunately, it was only a dream, but she would never sleep again. She went to check the doll's room, although the posture remains the same, but there were tears on his face. While Lucy was imagining all sorts of horrible scenarios, a drop of water fell, a false alarm. It turned out that the ceiling was leaking. Lucy noticed what looked like a hidden compartment on the roof, but she couldn't open it. You know, lonely Lucy felt very dull. At last she got Mike to deliver the supplies. I heard it from Mike. The child in the painting died 20 years ago. The old couple then made this delicate figure to express their sorrow. Mike could see that Lucy was bored here, so Mike asked her out for a night out. Getting paid to go on a date is a great job. Lucy picked out a nice dress as she showed it off to her friends. Suddenly she saw the doll lying on the bed staring at her. Lucy didn't pay much attention. She's getting ready to shower and go out on her date. While she was in the shower, someone opened the bathroom door, took the dress and necklace she left outside. Lucy looked in the mirror and saw that a strand of her hair had been cut off. The dress and the necklace were gone. Lucy has a feeling that something might be wrong with the old castle. The doll is crying. A tear ran from the corner of his eye. The woman stepped forward to touch it. The tears were still warm. She was so scared, but it soon became clear that they were not tears, but the roof was dripping from the rain. But was it really a false alarm? Just a few days ago, this woman by the name of Alice. He went away because he was disappointed in love. She came to work as a maid in an old castle. Mr. and Mrs. George are offering $100,000 a month. They hired Alice to look after their 8-year-old son, but Alice couldn't believe it. She has to take care of a human doll. The doll had motionless eyes. Alice could not help laughing, but George and his wife had serious eyes. It made Alice look bad. John the delivery man showed up just in time to break the ice. John makes a regular weekly delivery of supplies. He walked up to the doll, shake his hand and say hello. Alice was very confused, but she did, too. Soon, George handed Alice a list. It lists the tasks that must be done to the doll every day. Read poetry aloud to an action figure. Kiss goodnight every day. Food needs special processing and so on. After this, George and his wife went on a trip. After Alice sent George and his wife away, she forgot about taking care of the doll. she cast the doll aside. He put a black cloth over his head. Alice made a sandwich, then pour over a glass of red wine. It's a great life. Until the evening, Alice was awakened by the sound of a crying child. When she went to see to find cover in black cloth, doll body fell to the ground. Alice threw the doll on the wicker chair in a rage. The second day, John came as usual to deliver the supplies he needed. Alice took the opportunity to ask about the doll. It turns out that George and his wife's son died in a fire when he was 8. Miss their son, the couple ordered this ceramic doll. It was as if his son were still beside him. Hear it here. Alice breathed a sigh of relief. John took the opportunity to ask Alice out on a date. Date. All of Alice's clothes were gone. The old couple picked up stones and put them in their pockets. Then they walked hand in hand into the middle of the lake. Eventually they sank to the bottom of the lake. It gets even weirder. The couple kept a doll son in the castle. Alice, the nanny who takes care of the doll, is taking a bath. Her clothes and necklace were being stolen. Wait till Alice gets out of the shower. She found that a section of her hair was missing. His clothes and jewelry were gone. Returning to the bedroom surprised her even more. All the clothes were looted. A ladder went up from the roof. Alice thought it was just one of John's jokes on her, so she climbed up out of curiosity. It was a cluttered attic. Alice had just climbed up the ladder when she took it back. No matter how hard Alice tried, she couldn't open it. At this moment, through the window she saw John, who had just come outside. She screamed desperately for help, but to no avail. John knocked and got no answer, so he drove off. Alice was frightened by a figure faint in the attic. Woke up already as on the second day. The sun lit up the whole attic. Then Alice saw that the figure of the night before was a hanging coat. The stairs were lowered again. Alice ran away and went back to her bedroom. Strange things happen again. Last night, lost clothes scattered all over the floor. Alice dressed and pushed her way through the doll's room. The doll sat upright on the bed. Next to it was Alice's daily to-do list. But Alice clearly remembered that she had laid the doll flat on the bed. This frightened Alice. But then the phone rang. A child's voice cried for Alice to play with him. Alice threw the phone away in horror. But the noise came again outside the door. Alice opened the door trembling. She saw her favorite sandwich at the door, though confused and afraid. But Alice was convinced that the doll meant no harm. She began to follow the list and take care of the dolls. Tell it a story. Cuddle it in the sun. Kiss goodnight every day. The doll moves a lot. It made Alice think he might be alive. To prove to John that this is real, Alice put the doll down on the ground and drew a circle around him. Then he went into another room and knocked on the wall. When they returned to the room again, sure enough, the doll was gone. John thought the whole thing was inconceivable. Out of concern for Alice, John stayed at the castle for the night. The two were preparing to take a physiology class together. Suddenly there was a strange sound of music from downstairs. Go downstairs. They only found the doll sitting in a chair in front of the phonograph. John felt more and more wrong, so he confessed to Alice the real cause of George and his wife's son's death. And is fast asleep. Suddenly a few drops of blood fell on his forehead. Then large letters dripping blood appeared on the window. Alice's ex-boyfriend Jack broke into the castle looking for her. The jacket forced Alice to go back with him. Alice dared not resist Jack for fear of violence, but inside she was miserable. Jack was very angry when he woke up. He was sure Alice was behind it. Alice can only say it was made by an action figure. Jack thinks it's all bullshit. He immediately picked up the doll, fell to the ground. The ceramic figures were smashed to pieces. Alice watched in disbelief. Then the whole house shook. Then the mirror was shattered. The shock wave sent Jack flying. A masked man stepped out of the mirror. He killed Jack in a vicious way. Alice, who saw everything, was shocked. Good thing John showed up in time to knock out the mask. He took Alice with him to escape. They followed the escape route until they came to a room. Inside lies a doll in a red dress. It was the very dress Alice had lost. And this is where the mask lives. The mask turned out to be Mr. and Mrs. George's son. He didn't die in the fire. He's been living here since his face was disfigured. And Alice understood. Since the day she came to the castle, she lives under the watchful eye of someone in a mask. That's when the masked man arrives and rushes at them. John fought for time for Alice to escape. He wrestled with the masked man. Alice managed to escape, but out of concern for John's safety, she eventually returned to the castle and found a sharp knife to defend himself. Sure enough, she confronts the masked man again, and Alice finds out that the mask doesn't want to hurt her, and he has the mind of an 8-year-old. Alice put him to bed as before. The man in the mask did the same. He also asked Alice for a goodnight kiss. Alice took the opportunity to kill the mask. Then she finds John and escapes from the castle, and that's the end of the story.